As I believe we're on page 138. 138 is an interesting number. There's a book called Klach. Do you know the Klach? Have you heard of it?
Well, it sounds like the tablecloths.
Klach Pitchei Chochmah. Rabbi Moshe Chaim Lutzatto wrote a book in Kabbalah, 138 entrances to wisdom of Kabbalah. So 138 has a very deep Kabbalistic significance. What it is, I don't know. I didn't even reach level number 1 yet. So when we hit 138, I'll let you know.
We got to page 141.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have some notes on page 142.
Oh yeah, we did. You're correct. We're up to 142. Thank you. 142. Mechila.
We got up to here.
The people that put their talit Kabbalistic.
Right, with the right hand. Thank you, Dan. That was the last halakha we did. Okay, hey. Im lo birech kodem shitatef b'tzitzit. If you didn't make the blessing before you wrap yourself in the tzitzit, yivarech la'achar shnitatef. You can make the blessing after you put it on. Kol od hatalit al gufo. So long as the blessing is on your body.
The talit is on you.
Yes. That we agree with the halakha. For right now, until I change my mind. Okay.
Came to a conclusion.
Which halakha?
Right now, let's do it again.
Before or after? Putting on talit?
Yeah, if you forgot to make the bracha on your talit and you're still wearing your talit, you can make the bracha on the talit. Ask me a question. What's the obvious question here?
We always
We always do bracha before.
Very good.
Yeah, because
but
I
you-
forgot.
Like you told us, like okay, we start to drink, you're like eating cherries or something. You eat like a few of them. You haven't said a prayer yet. You can, as long as you keep on eating them, you can say the prayer.
Oh,
and all those.
so
Okay, you're gonna
whereas
continue
these
on.
cases look like they're similar, over there that's a blessing on enjoyment of something. So so long as you're still enjoying them, you can make the blessing.
But you can begin. It's new cherry, so you
Isn't there an issue?
start eating.
Here it's a blessing on a
You can
mitzvah.
say bracha
So
before.
there's an issue of
You're doing a
kavanah,
mitzvah.
being aware of what you're doing.
Oh, but yes, Zeb's right. There's a whole problem here with this. You forgot to make the bracha before you put on the talit. Clearly, you weren't. It's okay. Just you can either take it down or put it back on.
But if that picture of talit falls on you, then we're gonna have a
Yes,
tough discussion about what kind of bracha to say.
Go now.
That's good.
So here it's a blessing on the mitzvah.
Are you doing the mitzvah continuously?
Oh, so that's what he's trying to say.
With kavanah, I think it's more the issue.
The problem is the
Awareness
Rama
of what
uses
you're doing.
this by washing hands. Moshe Chaim. Rama uses this by washing hands. And so long as your hands are still wet, you can still make the bracha on washing of hands. And we reject him over there. So I'm having a hard time why this is different. I know what I can say, but it's not an answer that's...
Alright. I'm washing my hands, dry, done. Here I wrap my talit, flip it over.
So what about the rabbis who say that once you dry your hands, you can't make the blessing anymore? But so long as your hands are still wet...
It's over now. But I'm still wearing my talit. I didn't take it off.
And that's not the only criteria for bracha.
What do you mean?
Like I said, kavanah, being aware of what you're doing. If you're not aware, let's say you get up in the morning, and all of a sudden, my talit is on.
I thought you were going a different way of kavanah, which is how could you forget to put on bracha on your talit?
Okay.
You must have not been thinking about the mitzvah of talit properly.
Right.
It's the same. It's the same thing, right? It's a problem. It's a chisaron here. It's a problem here that a person. I don't know if Peretz once we were in a situation where
doing if I wrote.
Like the homeless guy.
Right. You had no kavanah by doing it. If you said Shmoneh Esrei and you didn't have kavanah, at least for the entire first paragraph, the halakha is
Do it there.
You have to go back and repeat the whole Shemona
You
Esrei.
don't have to enough for first line of Shema.
First or first two?
First line of Shema.
First one blessing. You have to have kavanah for the whole Shemona Esrei.
No, I really,
The very minimum is the first
two
blessing.
supposedly.
B'char Rishonah.
If you do
So
the first two, you have to go back and.
It's like coming late, you know. I mean, if you,
Show me.
you get into the practice of saying, well, you can just have kavanah for the first paragraph, and you say, oh, turn off.
After the first paragraph.
Auto mode.
Right, we have a lot of people praying on autopilot. I am convinced some people, they don't pray on autopilot. They pray in the Kabbalistic terms of Kfitzat HaDerech, which was when, the Baal Shem Tov used to have to go from one side of the world to the next. He closed his eyes, opened them. He was on the other side of the world. So some people, Shemona Esrei is like that too. They open the book, they look at the word, and they're ready at the end of the Shemona Esrei.
Or they're in their office already.
Some people, their finger prays for them. They do this. They scan the papers with their finger, right? So
Well, that's different.
No, I'm saying you like this.
we're saying right now about
Like, we're having a whole argument about why.
washing hands.
So I'm saying they're still doing it. Or washing hands are over. It's done.
I haven't answered this question. Let's read this paragraph. Remind me about washing hands. I haven't answered.
So we've decided then that Netilat Yadayim on Lechem, you have to say the bracha before you wash for bread.
Absolutely.
And even though everybody else does it differently.
Yes.
I just want to point.
Not everybody. Rav Perez does like
After?
before.
Before, yeah.
And
I want to point out that
Everywhere I went, you wash your hands until you say the blessing. Everywhere I went.
I want to point out that you're wrong.
Okay.
90.
And since you're a rabbi, I'll listen.
Okay. Thank you. If I wasn't a rabbi, you would.
I still listen.
Okay. He's a mensch. I figured he'd listen anyways. 99% of the Jewish world who washes their hands for bread, maybe even 100% of the Jewish world that washes for bread, makes the blessing afterwards. Not just the 50%. I'm helping you out. Not.
Okay, so
That's what I'm correcting you on.
So you're just for, yeah. So everybody does it wrong.
Right.
but same thing with the Kehillat, for
We can bring the
example.
Sanhedrin give like the carbon chata for the
What?
The Kehillat also.
You know, I'll tell you, I have a problem. My problem is that in my lineage, Zev's lineage also, we have a big problem. The problem is that we're used to going against the stream. Because when our grandparents were all at leaving Egypt, so all of the Jewish people, all the rabbis and their princes and their leaders started worshiping a golden calf. And my grandparents said, hey, no way, we're Levi'im, we don't touch the golden calf. But everybody, 95% of the Jewish people are worshiping the golden calf. So if that's the logic, then we should all run after the golden calf. Thank God, I'm from the 5% or the 1%. I mean, I'm not normally part of the 1%. You should know that. Just my I didn't occupy Wall Street, nothing like that. But I'm not always part of the 1%. But in this, I was part of the 1%. So the same thing here. If we would follow all the leaders and the people, then we would have been in a lot of trouble. Out of the spies, 10 of the spies, they were Gedolei Hador. They were like the leaders of Torah Jewry. They all came back and spoke bad about Israel. Only 2 managed to say, hey, listen, something's wrong over here. So, you're right, we are going against the majority of the Jewish people, not just the Jewish people, the majority of rabbis of the Jewish people. But all of those rabbis and all of those people have an obligation to listen to the Talmud and the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch. So even though they don't, and everyone has good reasons for why they don't, which is why I'm not telling you they're doing something wrong. I'm just telling you that we're doing something right. I don't have the audacity to say they're doing something wrong. Rav Peretz will tell you they're saying God's name in vain. I'll let Rav Peretz say that, I'm afraid.
Him?
Yes.
Just in case anybody wants to know, he's there.
Got big shoulders to lean on. See, Rav Ovadia made a problem. They had a mistake, Rav Ovadia. Chacham Ovadia fought the whole world, not just Ashkenazim. Ashkenazim actually left him alone, because some crazy Sephardic rabbi saying Sephardic things, go away. The Sephardim, they persecuted him for this. Chacham Ovadia stood up and said, everyone must make the blessing on lighting Shabbat candles before they light Shabbat candles. The Ben Ish Chai, though, said afterwards, who are you? He was like 17. Who are you to show up and say, hey everybody, let's stop doing what we've always been doing and make a blessing beforehand, like it says in Shulchan Aruch. And then Rabbi Ovadia wrote essays and essays proving that every blessing in the world you have to say beforehand. Today, the point where most Sfaradim make a blessing before they light Shabbat candles. Ashkenazim don't, but most Sfaradim do. Rav Peretz always said, I struggle with Chacham Ovadia. Why did he stop there? Why did he not continue this over to washing of hands? And nobody knows. Nobody knows what Chacham Ovadia did or didn't do, but if he would have led this crusade a long time ago already, all the Sfaradim would be making a blessing before they wash their hands. So you can imagine that if people would change their entire custom because of Chacham Ovadia, wouldn't you change your custom because of the Shulchan Aruch? Like that holds so much more weight. There was an Ashkenazi Rebbetzin. She was the mother of the Prisha and the Drisha. He was the author. If you open up any tour, Shulchan Aruch, Prisha and Drisha, right? Always he's there. He's the number one commentary over there on tour. The Prisha and Drisha brings down from his mother, I think his mother, or his wife, one of the two, that she says, Halakha is like the Shulchan Aruch. You have to make a blessing before lighting Shabbat candles. Because the Shulchan Aruch is right. And along comes the Magen Avraham, who if you open up the normal Shulchan Aruch, he's the predominant Ashkenazi commentary on it. The Magen Avraham says, I don't care what proofs she brought, we have a rule, En chokhmah benashim, that women have no wisdom. And therefore we will not listen to her, and we will continue to make blessings after we wash our hands.
Not such a good justification.
Not such a good justification, right? You know, whenever I give this class to ladies about when they should make a blessing and washing their hands on candles, I always tell them, oh, you know, the Shulchan Aruch says, the Rambam says, everyone says, yeah, but my mother this, and my grandmother, and my great-grandmother, they all made a blessing afterwards. How could I go against it? It's very emotional for ladies. And so, I'm recorded, but I'm not saying anything bad. But then I always wait till the end. After they're angry at me, I had ladies once ready to leave my class. They're just getting up and leaving. Hey, wait, just listen to one last thing. And I told them about this, Magen Avraham. I said, you should know the reason why the communities rejected the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch is because of the Magen Avraham. And he says that all of you are stupid. So, are you feminists or are you anti-feminists? And then everybody in my class started making bracha before they lit Shabbat candles.
So does the Rabbi agree with
What a world.
The Ramah does not agree with Shulchan Aruch on this.
so that's the reason why Ashkenazi Jews.
Okay, let me say that I agree with you if that's the reason why Ashkenazi Jews did it. But what in the world is wrong with the Sephardic Jews?
Nothing.
What do you mean nothing? They're ignoring the Shulchan Aruch.
You mean...
Yeah, let's say that, I agree. You tell me, Jack, the Ashkenazi Jews are following the Ramah. Well, good.
Okay.
Sail into the sunset. But what about the Sephardic Jews? Where did they go wrong?
They listen to Ashkenazi Jews.
Right.
As the world should be.
It's okay. He owes me some doses of racism, so it's fine. So now he says something interesting, Rabbi David Yosef, and I'm going to get back to hand washing in a minute. Even though there's a halacha in our hands, shekol hamitzvot, that all of the mitzvot, mivarech alehen, you bless on them, over l'asiyatan, before you do them. V'ledat HaRambam, and according to the Rambam, umaran HaShulchan Aruch, and the Shulchan Aruch, din zeh hu li'ikuva. This law is li'ikuva, means that it holds you back. The meaning is,
Ikuv means delay.
right, but the English translation here of the, it's not that you ideally have to make the blessing before you wash your hands, but if you don't, you can make it afterwards. Li'ikuva means you have no choice. Once you didn't make the blessing, you cannot make it again. Li'ikuva. It's not an option, it's a mandatory halacha. There are maybe here in Kuv Dalin, you can find for me what I didn't have time to look at. Somewhere in these footnotes, Rabbi David Yosef should be mentioning a halacha about mitzvot over l'asiyatan and not over l'asiyatan. Whether you do it before or after. Somewhere in the footnotes. If you find it, ashrecha. If not, it's okay.
So what David Yosef says is that if I put my tallit on, I cannot say bracha.
According to Rambam and Shulchan Aruch.
Oh, okay.
But now he's saying, even though they say that halacha, shim lo birech kodem asiyat mitzvah, ha-mitzvah, that if he did not make the blessing before he did the mitzvah, eino reshai levarech achar asiyat mitzvah. You're not allowed to make the blessing after you do the mitzvah. V'im avar uvirech harei birkato hi bracha levatala. If a person says a blessing, then his blessing is God's name in vain. Mikol makom, he says, we only say this halacha, dafka b'mitzvah she'asiyata nistayma. Only by a mitzvah, which asiyata, its doing, nistayma, has finished. Such as, you pick up a lav netog, and you forgot to say the bracha, you already took the lav netog. You're done, it's over.
So what is the status of the taking of the lulav and etrog without a bracha? How does it count?
You get the full mitzvah. Just not the extra bonus of making a bracha on it. Brachot are extra. It's a good question. Brachot are like extra credit. They're bonus points.
Brachot are rabbinical, and
Very good. And we didn't always make brachot. So what would happen for a person who puts on tefillin without a bracha, makes a, so nothing happened. He got the mitzvah. You just don't get the extra benefit of, and people don't know this.
Yeah.
And because of that, they get so stuck on, well, I need to make the bracha. Well, you don't need to make it. It's okay if you don't make the bracha. It's just enough to do the action.
What about when you read things like, well, if you forget to say bracha on food, it's like you're stealing the food.
Oh, so here it's a bracha on something else. Again, like Dad said, this bracha is on eating food. It's on enjoyment, not a blessing on a mitzvah. So long as you're enjoying something which is not yours, you just stole it.
You're not allowed to enjoy for something you have blessing.
Some actually understand the whole concept of bracha on mitzvah is actually to help you have in mind that you're doing this for a mitzvah. You see, if you were just putting on a talit because you were cold, I once walked into a class that I was teaching on Shabbat afternoon, and someone put the air conditioning, I guess, too low, and all the ladies were wearing talitot. I walked into there thinking that I walk into a Reform temple, like what happened right now? All the ladies are in talitot. It was cold, so they used them as blankets. Yeah?
Not
So,
too low, you said too low.
it was too, I mean, too low was set for too low.
Sounds like our shul.
So here you have an interesting situation where they're wearing talitot, but I'm not going to go into the halachic details of wearing, not wearing. But if another person, not a lady, were to just put on a talit because they were cold, they wouldn't get a mitzvah. It's if you're putting on a talit because that's what you do in the morning, but you didn't make a bracha, that's where you get the mitzvah for putting on the talit.